Thanks for joining us again on Shannons Club TV, the program for all motoring enthusiasts, where we share memories of significant cars from Australian roads and racetracks.
And join us as we look back on what made our feature car significant, with rare archival images and a well-preserved example.
We'll also get current market tips from the Shannons auctions team. So let's kick things off with an Aussie car which history has judged harshly, but not always fairly, the Leyland P76.
After a succession of British Austins failed to make a dent in Holden sales, Leyland Australia was forced to start with a clean sheet of paper. The Leyland P76, launched in June 1973, was the first and only all-Australian family car challenger since the first Holden. Except the first Holden in 1948 had no real competition, with waiting lists that stretched for years. By 1973, the P76 faced the most competitive Kingswood, Falcon and Valiant models ever built in Australia. The P76 had to hit the ground running. The budget for the P76 was so tight, it went from design to prototype to production inside 3 years without drawing on any other model. Its rear drive layout marked a total departure from the front drive models it replaced, and it was bigger than any model produced by the British parent company. The P76 had to be right first up. The first Holden entered its first global rally, the 1953 Monte Carlo, after it had been tweaked and in production for 5 years. It came 64th in a field of 101. Yet the P76 had only been on sale for 12 months when it was entered in one of the world's toughest marathon events. Mark, surely no one would be silly enough to enter an event like this in a lemon.
Yeah. When Evan Green chose the Leyland P76 to enter the World Cup Rally in 1974, I remember a lot of people were saying, of all the cars to pick, why would you pick a P76? But Evan Green, he had a lot of very sound reasons for making that decision, and he was proved correct. The car didn't win the event, but it did finish, and it proved very, very much that it was a strong, rugged and fast car, very well suited to Australian conditions, which I'll get to a little bit later.
Well, you're right, Mark, the P76 wasn't a lemon. Like the first Holden, it was unusually light, strong and efficient, and up to 10 years ahead of its time in several areas. All good reasons for rivals and vested interests to add to one of Australia's worst scapegoat campaigns. Yes, the car did have its teething problems, but not all were the car's fault. The P76 development period ran headlong into severe internal turmoil at British Leyland. On-again, off-again funding killed the styling process. Then an ex-US Ford manager on Leyland's British team insisted on adding extra bulk at the last minute against Australian wishes. The P76 release coincided with unprecedented union militancy and a government unwilling and unable to contain it. As the stockpile of new P76's missing vital bits kept growing, vital cash flow stopped. By October 1974, the local company was closed, before the facelift that reflected the original Australian priorities could surface. As various parties raced to pass the buck, the P76 was declared a lemon, even by key government figures. Mark, how the P76 is remembered simply doesn't match its achievements.
Yeah, and when you look at its performance on the World Rally stage in 1974, that certainly proved true. The 1974 World Cup Rally was a 17,000 kilometre plus torture test from London to Munich via Africa. At one stage, a Leyland P76 was leading, and had its crew not become lost in the Sahara Desert, the All-Australian sedan could well have won, arguably, the toughest of all the global marathons. The fact that it was also one of only a handful of finishers was as much a testament to the skill and determination of its driver, Evan Green, and navigator John Bryson, as it was to the numerous design and engineering strengths of the P76 that made it such a world-class marathon car. Indeed, it was the P76's key engineering principle of a light aluminium V8 engine in a light but strong body shell that made it ideal for such a challenge. It also featured long travel 4-coil suspension ideal for rough roads, ventilated front disc brakes and the sharp response of rack and pinion steering. Joe, when you list just some of the P76's many engineering and design strengths, it's not surprising this car received such rave reviews by the motoring press when it was released.
Oh, it was absolutely raved about. It won Car of the Year.
Yeah.
And what happened was there were more than a few quality issues, as I said, not because of Leyland necessarily, but because of suppliers and what have you. That overtook the whole sense of the car, and it took the rally to bring reality back.
Yeah, it's a good point. The lone P76 was leading the 1974 World Cup Rally by the time the event reached Africa and plunged south into the treacherous Sahara. However, a critical flaw in route instructions supplied by the event organisers caused the leading P76 crew and most competitors behind them to become hopelessly lost. Some were stranded for days. Some nearly died of thirst. For Green and Bryson, it also became a fight for survival. Front suspension damage caused by a desperate escape from towering sand dunes, followed by a gruelling 3-day, 1,800 kilometre limp north to escape the Sahara, prompted Evan Green to claim it was the most punishing drive of his life. The big Aussie V8 sedan's run through the final European stages was inspired. The highlight was fastest stage time on the legendary Targa Florio road circuit in Sicily, which prompted Leyland Australia to produce a special Targa Florio limited edition model to celebrate the achievement. The P76 finished 13th, but if not for the shambles in the Sahara, we can only wonder today where the big Aussie sedan could have finished after leading one of the most gruelling marathons ever conceived. While the result proved the P76 was no lemon, it was all too late to save it. Other great episodes of Shannons Club TV are available to view anytime on the club website.
My name's Ken West and I live here in Melbourne, and this is my Leyland P76 Super V8. I'm extraordinarily proud of this motor car. It's the one truly Australian designed and built motor car. I'm the second owner of this car. I bought it in about the middle of 1981. Engine was excellent in those days, and before I took delivery of the motor car, I actually had the Borg Warner 35 gearbox completely overhauled, and since then the gearbox hasn't been touched. The only thing that's not original on the outside now is the wing mirrors, because I had a little accident with one of the wing mirrors and broke it off, and you just can't buy that Leyland mirror anymore. Boot was huge. It can actually carry a 44-gallon drum in the boot. Leyland designed it so that a farmer could put an empty drum in the boot, fill it with sheep spray or cattle spray or whatever, drive the car across the paddock and spray the sheep from the back of the car. That's what they say anyway. I like it because it's comfortable. It handles brilliantly for a big car, and I like the fact that I've got a truly Australian motor car. I was driving along in peak traffic. I took off, and the next second sirens were going, lights were flashing, and I thought, I have no idea what I've done wrong here. So I pulled into the side road and I said, what did I do wrong? He said, oh, nothing. He said, we had no idea what this car was. We had never seen one and we wanted to have a good look at it. So we spent the next 15 minutes, bonnet open, boot open. They wanted to have a sit in it and start the engine and all that sort of stuff. Lovely guys, but not really what I think they're paid to do.
Shannon's National Auctions Manager, Chris Barban, joins us for Hammer Time. Hi, Chris.
Joe, Mark.
Welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you.
Is it fair to say that the P76 is not a lemon anymore?
Fair call, I think. Look, I think in recent years we've seen quite a strong club movement for the P76. I think there's somewhere around 7 clubs now between Australia and New Zealand formed for P76s, so quite good.
What's driving that? What's caused the switch, do you think?
I think we've, there's a bit of Australian pride there. I think we're quite loyal to a lot of the products that we put out here in Australia, and I think we're increasingly, the cars are getting rarer. I think we're seeing quite a demand for them now.
Do you see many come through the auctions house, and what's the most popular model, the most desirable model?
Yeah, look, I've got to say, because of probably a strong club scene, we probably haven't seen as many as we'd like to see come through, but we're fortunate enough to have a Targa Florio model come through a couple of years ago, and you know, we realised a very good price for that car, and I think probably due to its ownership, and again the chap worked on a line at Leyland and put that car together, so it's quite a great bonding story there. Yep.
And that's an interesting point that you make. The guy worked on it, and we forget there was a very strong Sydney support base for that car, and they've kept it alive through thick and thin. When everybody was calling them lemons and stuff like that, they kept this car alive and kept it important.
So that means like there's good backup with spare parts and that sort of stuff if you want to keep it on the road?
Yeah, look, I think there is something with a 4.4 litre V8, a very popular model, and there is good support. Seems to be a part supply there for the car, so that's good.
So it's a practical classic?
Practical classic, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Chris. And remember, you can get all the latest auction news on the Shannons Club website. If you'd like to read more about the Leyland P76, check out our stories at the Shannons Club website.
I guess in reflection, looking at the P76, would it be fair to say it was the most Australian of all the big Aussie sedans?
It was the first all-Australian contender. Valiants and Falcons came from American cars, and even the first Holden came from the US.
Yeah.
And it was so close to making it. I think within 6 months they would have been over that hump. But that industrial turmoil was the killer. It really stopped everything, and they just didn't have enough money to keep going. Real tragedy, especially for Sydney.
It really was. A real loss for Australia and the Australian manufacturing industry. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this nostalgic look at the Leyland P76. We look forward to your company next time on Shannons Club TV. Bye for now.